As a mom, I firmly believe that our homes should support and simplify our daily routines rather than create more work and overwhelm for us. I didn't think I could appreciate order anymore until our first child was born. My 5-year journey of minimalism has been key in helping me learn how to maintain that order with a little one running around. Because you and I both know that life in the home is very different when kids come along. Organization alone isn't enough. I've learned that it's in our daily habits and intentional choices where we can actually cultivate that lasting order in our homes and also help to set an example for our children. So today I'm going to be sharing the 7 hacks that I use as a minimalist mom to do exactly that. You don't have to be a minimalist or even be trying to adopt the entire lifestyle in order to try out just one or a few of these to make that order in your home more possible. So I encourage you to pick 1 or 2 that you feel will really help you out personally and start from there. Let's get into it. Life with littles is full of sensory inputs. You know what I mean. The noise, chaos, touching, and mess. And as mothers, we are more prone to overstimulation because of all of these things and other factors, of course. And though it often feels easier to say, I'll get to it later, to the tiny tasks that surround us, those tiny tasks can actually take quite a mental toll on us when they're left untouched for too long. So hack number 1 is if it takes less than a minute to do, just do it now. Now, I'm not a perfect mother and I don't do this every single time, but it is definitely something that I keep in the back of my mind when I am going throughout the home throughout the day so that I'm constantly reminding myself it's not going to take long, you can do it now. For example, putting a few dishes away from the drying rack in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher with a few dirty dishes from the sink, and just putting stray items away when you see them in any of your spaces. Completing these small tasks immediately not only maintains order in your home, but it also creates positive momentum, with each completed task being a small win that motivates you to tackle the next one. Immediate action, like I just described, is important, but so is creating long-term habits, especially when it comes to raising our children. I don't know about you, but I have accepted that a large part of my responsibility as a mom is tidying up. It's just the reality of our situations. We are the tidy uppers, but that doesn't mean that we have to do it alone. In our home, tidying up is just a part of our daily routines, and I do my very best to include my daughter in the process so that she too learns the importance of putting things away and caring for our spaces. Toddlers are so much more capable than we give them credit for. Typically before nap time and bedtime, we'll do a tidy up together or with my husband as well to just clean up the spaces that she's been playing in. So usually that's just here in the living room as well as in her bedroom. And obviously we are minimalists. We don't have a whole bunch of stuff to clean up, so it definitely makes it manageable. However, I do think that just the principle of tidying up once you're done with an activity is very important to teach her. So additionally, when I am engaging in play with her and she wants to move on from one activity to the next, say puzzles to building blocks, I will encourage her as best as I can to clean up that first task before moving on to the next one. This is not always the way that it happens, and a lot of the time I'm the one that ends up cleaning it up for her, but at least she's seeing that example that I'm setting and kind of getting the gears turning in her brain that that's what we're supposed to do. Though tidying can feel monotonous at times, incorporating it naturally into our daily routines creates lasting order in our home, and it also instills valuable habits in our children that will benefit them for years to come. Now let's talk about the belongings in our home, specifically the kid stuff, which can pose challenges when it comes to maintaining order in any space in the home. When it comes to purchasing new items for our children, there are a number of factors that come into play, from social media telling us what our children need, to store aisles full of endless options that are impossible to choose from. It's overwhelming and exhausting a lot of the time. But instead of just throwing our hands in the air and going out and buying what everybody else is buying because it seems like the best option, I propose an alternative, which is buying less, but buying the best quality that we can afford. Whether it's clothing or toys, it really doesn't hurt to be selective about what we bring into our homes, because we all know that there are so many other costs associated with these items aside from what we're paying for them. And it's no secret that most toys these days are mass-produced in very low quality and therefore only last a short amount of time. Personally, I would rather buy one more expensive toy that can be passed down to different generations versus 4 less expensive toys that break or malfunction within a year or 2. In terms of toys, less truly is more with our children, and I've seen this firsthand in our own home. I read an interesting article on this topic recently by the Minimalists, which states that the amount of joy a child experiences through play is directly correlated with how many toys are in their environment. It's kind of like the concept of too much of a good thing, where the more toys that a child has, the less value they actually see in each of those toys, and therefore the less joy those toys bring them. So with a more streamlined amount of toys and a more selective collection, a child can actually experience more joy and more meaningful play than with a room full of toys. And this is not the only article that's out there on this topic, so if you're intrigued by this concept, I encourage you to do a little bit of research and read up on the studies that have been done on it, because I genuinely believe that it could shift your entire perspective on toys. Now, on a similar topic, when it comes to clothes, most of my daughter's wardrobe is thrifted, but in doing that, I've been able to buy higher quality items at a price that works with our family budget. This is often in boutique style thrift stores where people have purchased these more expensive items new and really taken care of them, and they've lasted long enough for them to be handed down to other kids. Being selective and investing in quality toys and clothing for our children, whether that's new or secondhand, can make a significant difference in maintaining order in our homes, because it not only reduces clutter, but it also eliminates the extra work of managing lower quality items. I'm certainly not the first to utilize this hack, but it sure is helpful when it comes to preventing excess from entering our home. Whether it's snack foods, clothing, toys, or miscellaneous items, owning less is key to managing less. And I included this one on the list because I used to be somebody who would go into a store without a list just to see what they had, just to see what I might want to buy, and more times than not, I would always walk out with something that I had never even planned to buy in the first place. And I think this is a super common thing that happens in all categories of products. As moms, we play a, if not the key role in controlling how much stuff is in our homes and what that stuff is. Being intentional when it comes to purchasing directly impacts the order that we're able to achieve and maintain in our communal spaces and children's spaces. Decluttering can only take you so far, and the next step after decluttering your stuff is changing the way that you shop. So remember that the next time that you are tempted to go into HomeSense without a list. What do you think of when I say junk in the home? In my eyes, it constitutes as random bits and bobs that don't really have a place, and also cheaply made items that tend to break upon minor use. For those very reasons, junk is simply not welcome in our home, and this is hack number 5. It sounds strict and it sounds rigid, but I find that in our home, without rules like this, stuff can just slowly creep in. So it's important to set clear guidelines and boundaries when it comes to these types of items. The only exception here would be if my daughter is given something of the sort from a relative, in which case I would allow her to, bring it into the home and play with it for as long as she's interested. But once she is no longer interested, I would quietly declutter that item, and it's always within a few days anyway. You might think I'm cruel for doing this, and that's okay. You know, I'm not here to please everybody, but I do think that it helps to keep her focus on the toys that enhance her play. Because when it comes to kids, there is a lot of junk out there. And it's these tiny things that can make their way into the nooks and crannies of our homes, leading to clutter chaos in just a short while. By creating a rule of not allowing junk in our home, particularly dollar store trinkets and party favor type items, we're not only preventing the accumulation of clutter, but we're also teaching our children to value quality over quantity. This little shift in mindset can have a lasting impact on how our children view material possessions, and it also just contributes to a more organized home as well. You've heard the saying, the kitchen is the heart of the home, and for me that is very true. So when there is little to no order in my kitchen, it often feels like there is little to no order in my entire home. And it's often always in the back of my mind if I don't take care of the kitchen. The main source of disorder in the kitchen, let's be honest, is often dishes. So hack number 6 is to start the day with an empty dishwasher if you have one. This doesn't necessarily translate to having it empty right when we wake up in the morning, because we do often have a full load, turn it on before we go to bed, and then when we wake up, it's ready to be unloaded and it's completely dry. So I do make this a bit of a chore for myself and my daughter in the morning. I think it gives her a nice sense of responsibility as well. She enjoys it, and I don't mind having the help. But in doing so, it just allows us to start the day with a clean slate in the kitchen, and it allows us to put our breakfast dishes away immediately versus keeping them in the sink or having to spend the 5 to 10 minutes to hand wash everything. I just want to say, if you don't have a dishwasher and you hand wash all of your dishes, I have a lot of respect for you. This is a very simple hack, but it does make a huge difference in the kitchen and in general, the home. I really stand by this hack, not just for my daughter's things, but for mine and my husband's as well. Everything really should have a place in the home, because otherwise the items end up floating everywhere and they are so much more likely to be left out in the open time and time again. My daughter is 2 next month, and there is a lot of research saying that toddlers thrive with structure. So this is just one small way that I've been trying to incorporate that into our everyday lives. Each category of toy that she has a bin or a basket and a designated spot where it belongs. And this not only gives her a sense of structure and order in her own spaces, but it allows her to more fully understand where something is supposed to be put away. This way, cleaning up becomes easy, and maintaining the spaces that we all hang out in becomes much more simple, both for her and my husband and I. While these hacks are simple, their power lies in consistency. The more regularly you practice them, the more orderly your home can become over time, and they'll often become second nature as well. Now, if you're watching this and you're feeling like you need some encouragement as a mama, maybe on a heart-to-heart level, I shared a video a few months ago where I shared the things that I wish I knew sooner and things that helped me go from chaos to calm as a new mom. So I will link that above if you're interested in watching it. Thank you for taking the time to join me today, and I will see you in the next one.